would definitely have to say that there are a few reality checks that I've had in my life at different places. I remember I was maybe about 9 or 10, and I had a new friend who had moved from America to school, and so we became, fast friends. About 2 years we were friends, and she came over to my house one day and went into a space where, she typically hadn't gone into. And she was so upset at me after she came into the space and looked up at the walls. And I was like, what is it? She's like, you never told me that you were Bob Marley's granddaughter.
Like you have to.
And I was just like, what? She's like, no, what you mean? And I'm like, what? What do you mean?
Right.
And I remember I mean, we're kids, and so
Right.
somebody will tell you something and you feel away, but that was the first moment that I realized that, okay, this is something important to share.
Right.
Then, I guess, because my friend felt slighted by the fact that I didn't share that with her. Maybe she thought I didn't trust her enough with that information, but we grew up in a very tight-knit family. So if we didn't need to interact with people, we wouldn't interact with people.
Right.
Yes, we toured the world, and my mother and her brothers and sisters, Ziggy Marley and the Melody Makers, were singing to tens of thousands of people. So we knew that experience, but like we were on tour buses and we had tour managers, and we were from hotel to hotel and then plane to plane, and then things are coordinated.
You remember this from when you were little?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Because it's my life.
Right, for sure.
That literally was our life. Summers, I didn't do summer school until I was in high school. Other kids do summer school every summer. I've never been to a summer camp.
Right.
But I've been on tour all over the US.
That was your summer camp.
And so I didn't have perspective. I didn't have anything to compare it to until I started to get older and have different experiences and go to high school now and hear other stories of other lives, and then you start to realize that, okay, there are dynamics of how people even see you, because you're just here having a life,
right?
And people have so many opinions of who you are and who you must be, and you're just like, okay, do I embrace these opinions, or can I just be me? And like, just decided I'm just gonna be me.
Yeah.
Y'all, I'm just gonna be me.
Right.
Create space for that. Especially, like, I didn't grow up with my grandfather. I grew up with my grandmother. And so my grandmother always made sure that how we knew my grandfather was as a grandfather.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not like
Bob Marley.
A figure, yeah.
It's your grandfather.
Yeah, for sure.
Like
a person in the lineage that,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
But when you go out into the world now, it's complex, because like as you grow up and you realize that you don't have a grandfather, to have those experiences that your grandparent has or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're dealing with those emotions growing up while people are just like, oh my God, your grandfather this, your grandfather that. And I'm just like, I'm learning about him and I'm missing him, but there's no space to miss him, because he's ever present, but like nothing tangible. And so there have been different iterations of me learning about him. But as an adult now, in my fullness, I realized that if my grandfather if he was around still, I don't know that he would be playing music. I don't know that he'd be singing. I just don't know that, because there's so much work to be done in the world that demands more than, music allows us access to become and to activate sometimes.
Right.
So, yeah, I continue to decide to choose to be who I am and define space on my terms.
Right.
Maybe one day I'll sing.
Hey, you might just fall into the footsteps still.
Hey, maybe one day, but that's not today. For now, I'm still using my voice, but in a different way.
Yeah, I think that standing on the shoulders of giants, we have a responsibility. Like I have a great uncle, Félix Mauricio Leroy. He's a big playwright. un gros écrivain in Haiti. He brought Creole to theater because a lot of things were done in French, the education, even the arts. And so he believed that our racine, our root language was Creole, our revolutionary language. And he did plays, theater, poetry as well. And so I feel like I honored those roots, becoming a poet and just kind of filling into that purpose, and realized that having a voice and having things to say about issues and social, you know, woes in our community, that's even how hip hop began. You know, I'm like, I'm an MC at heart, you know, from back in the days, and born in the streets of New York. And so hip hop, you know, hip hop evolved because it was a voice in our community that we didn't have. And so we was like, yo, we gonna be that voice. And so we started talking about, but our stuff, even back in the days, it always gets twisted because we wasn't talking about disrespecting women, taking drugs. That's not what we started talking about. They would have never let that stuff grow into what it is. We would have never let it grow. There was organizations that, you know, stood by it to make sure that there's like a declaration of hip hop where it's not about degrading, but somehow it get twisted up. And we lose identity and things like that too. But, you know, following in the footsteps of like our ancestors, I think is a great, mighty thing to do. And you just continuing to work.
I don't think we have an option.
Right.
I mean, look at the world, bro. The world is crazy right now.
Right, for sure. No leadership.
None. And like, looking at these leaders, I'm just like, bro, all of these guys are at the end of their life. Why are they making these huge decisions on behalf of an entire world?
Right.
Who is standing by? I'm just not understand. I don't understand how we got here. You know, and it's like it is so urgent for us to get back to our roots. How many of our kids know that plants come from the ground, apart from out of a book? Have they ever seen, they ever picked a fruit off of a tree?
Right. We become disconnected.
Fully.
Yeah.
These are real life things.
Yeah.
You know, now I'm in Jamaica right now, on the field, on the battlefield, after this Hurricane Melissa mashed up the whole of the west side of the island. And then you realize that there's so many dynamics to recovery and relief and that kind of thing. First of all, there's so much class issues.
Right.
Because it's the poorer set of people who were impacted.
Exactly.
You know, not uptown, not the well-off people. People who, they say, live on captured land, meaning land they don't own. Jamaica is 63 years old. Right? Jamaica is 63 years old. By law, if you live on somebody's private land, you can live there for 12 years, and after that you can apply, you can claim adverse possession.
That's like part of a constitution?
That's a part of the Constitution of Jamaica.
In
but
Jamaica.
if it's government land, i.e. crown land, which is land that was given to the Jamaican government after independence, land meaning plantations that were put under the Jamaican government to give to the people. If you live on crown land, you have to live on crown land for 60 years.
60?
In order for you to own the land.
60. Okay.
60. Jamaica is 63. So basically you would have to be at least 61 years old, living on the land for 61 years.
Wow. So are you saying that, what you're saying in a sense that it makes it difficult for
fully
ownership?
inaccessible.
Because from even back then, that would have to be like the plantation owners that only had land at that time, and then for you to extend another 61 years.
When you really look at how much it takes to build a nation, again, that's why I don't think that we as artists right now have the luxury of just being entertainers. It's not a thing that I can allow myself to sit with. It just don't sit comfort. The world is burning down.
Oh no, I concur with what you're saying, because it's like I'm in this world and I could rap about anything, or I could do some poetry about anything, any secular thing that's popping, but I choose to still draw back, observe, and really just speak about really the issues and the messages that need to be addressed, you know, and that's why IET's always been on my mind, you know. I become like a cultural ambassador.
Freed out of bondage, you gotta pay homage. The most illustrious war, 1804, never done before. A quantum leap to 1784. We talked about breaking the chains, breaking the pain, but since I was struggled, it's never been the same.
You know, for the culture, for the country, for the movement.
For the memory.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm just trying to educate the youth about our greatness, because once you don't, I know it sounds cliche, you don't know where you come from, you know what I mean? But really, like, if you knew that, at least it did that for me. Once I came into the essence of knowing what my people did and where we came from,
Right.
I said, we took this many steps back. I said, nah. I said, the ancestors, they not happy right now. I said, it's time for us to, like, now we got to take leaps to even try to catch up to the greatness that we supposed to be already, without flaw, without, you know, just picking up the torch, carrying the torch and continuing the legacy.
Just need to be more solidarity between our islands.
Yeah.
Because we are a region that